each week have been these really obscure things that no one has ever heard of. Did you notice that? That last week we had a reading about a Samaritan who was good. I mean, who ever heard that story? And today we get this son who is prodigal. These are readings that no one knows anything about. Or maybe the opposite is true. Maybe we know these readings so well that maybe they percolated into our culture so deeply that we hear them, but we don't listen. Maybe we think we know what they say, and so we smile as we hear the story and we nod. But maybe there's something for us that's not what we expect when we encounter these texts that are so very well known. We find the story that Jesus tells as he's standing there surrounded by a group of people, listening to him. The story that he tells about the younger son who asks his father for his inheritance beforehand, who goes off and squanders it with riotous living and then comes back with his belly rumbling, hoping that maybe his dad will just let him come back and be a servant. We know this story, don't we? We've heard it so many times, that story that goes along with the I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see kind of gospel, which is, by the way, an important part of the gospel. I'm not saying otherwise. But if you stop and you read the story carefully, you find out very quickly that this story of the younger son isn't the point. The younger son, in fact, is a prop. And this whole long story is, in fact, really just the build-up to the little twist at the end. That's how Jesus usually does things, you see. He tells stories to draw people in, to set them at ease, to make them smile and nod and say, oh yes, I know exactly what you mean. This is all about how we're welcome. This is all about how you love me. But that's not where the story is going. You see, when that younger brother finally made his way home after all of those verses of storytelling, we get to the meat of the story. There was an older brother, remember him? The one who was out in the field working, who, as he was coming home, he heard the sound of music coming from the house. Perhaps he smelled that wonderful beefy smell. You know that smell. That smell that, unless you're a vegetarian, leaves people thinking, oh, that's dinner. He came in and he smelled it and he thought to himself, there's a hold it. Why is there a party going on? And he stopped. And he stood out there a ways off and looked at the house, and he could see people dancing. He could hear the music. He could almost taste the food. He could certainly see there was something extraordinary going on. And so he stopped and crossed his arms, realized he hadn't gotten an invitation to this party. And he started to get angry. And he stood there, seated. Until finally his dad came out of the house, walked up to him and said, party for your brother. He's home. Who? My brother? No, this son of yours is home. The one who took his inheritance? Who went and squandered it? Maybe that's who's home. This son of yours, not my brother. And that's where the story ends. With the older son, his arms folded and a scowl on his face, standing there outside the party while everyone else is celebrating. Standing out there complaining, I've slaved for you and you've never even given me a goat to celebrate with my friend, but this son of yours, he comes back and you give him a calf and a party, you put a robe and a ring on his finger, and that's where the story ends. With the older brother standing there in a snit. The father trying to draw him into the house, bringing him into the celebration. And the younger brother welcomed home with open arms. Remember how the story began? How this reading from Luke's gospel began with the people coming to Jesus and the scribes and the Pharisees grumbling about it? That whole build-up had been to suck them in and say, and you are acting just like the elder brother. Let me tell you a story from my young adulthood. My first car was a 1976 Chevette, blaze on. I bought it at least second-hand, possibly third-hand for $400. See, my parents had a rule. This was their policy. That when my brother and I got our driver's licenses, we were free to borrow the family car, and they would pay the good student discount rate for our insurance. Should we fail to be good students, we would pay the difference. Should we want a car of our own, we would buy it. So I saved up my $400 and I went to Mrs. Hedgepeth, the school librarian who was trying to sell the car. I gave her $399 $1 bills and 4 quarters. Okay, maybe not literally. But I was waiting tables at the time and all I had was small bills. $400. And I had a Chevette. I had my freedom. And I enjoyed it because we lived way out in rural Virginia. You had to have a car. And given that my parents were driving theirs, borrowing theirs was sometimes possible, but this opened up all kinds of possibilities. 16 years old, there I was. My brother is 22 months younger than I am. 22 months passed, he got his license, and he bought a car. I don't even remember what kind of car it was. I have no clue what he paid for it. What I remember is one summer night, getting a phone call at home. My brother, the new driver, had looked down to change the radio station. Banged into the guardrail, banged into the other guardrail, come back across, rolled the car into a ditch. He was okay. The car was not. He got home. The car went off to junkyard land. And my parents, seeing how troubled he was at this, said to him, "Greg, we're going to get a new car. You can have this one." Do I need to tell you what I was thinking? Greg is not still driving that car, just to be clear. He bought a car. He wrecked the car because he was careless. And my parents gave him another car. Meanwhile, my 1976 already 12, 14-year-old car at that point was having problems. And then one day when the steering wheel came off, I wasn't driving at the time. And this was after. So you know what my parents did? They let me buy another car. Thanks, Mom, Dad. That was a 1983 Chevette. It was great. Have you ever been there? Life isn't fair. Even when people like our parents want it to be for us, it's not. Sometimes that other person gets the promotion at work when we've been working hard. Sometimes it just doesn't go the way you would think. My brother, whom I love, grew up just like me. Yep, just like me. Raised 4 kids, got a divorce, found himself in a spot of trouble. His car died. Do I need to tell you what happened next? After my stepfather passed away, there was a spare vehicle. And my mother called me out. "Paul," she said, "I'd like to give Rock's truck to your brother." Please, he needs it. I've got a car. I'm good. Give it to him. Right? That's what we're supposed to do as grown-ups. And so my brother is driving around in a Ford F-150 that my late stepfather had driven around. And I'm happy for him. That's my story. The story of being that older brother. The one in the snit when the party's going on. But realizing that coming into the party is important. That there are times when we need to celebrate the good things that happen to other people and realize it's not just about us. For perhaps there are places in your life that you've been older brothering or older sistering, where you've been looking at someone else's good fortune and thinking that it's not fair. That should have been yours. You know, maybe it's not. But maybe that's okay too. To find that our generosity of spirit grows when other people have good things happen to them. That's a holy gift. To realize that God's grace is bigger than we can imagine and that those people are welcomed in and included. Okay. That's the holy story. The story of a love that gives and gives and draws people in and even finds us snitty siblings out there in the field and says, come on in. That's the real gift. Not that someone who would repent could come home, but that someone standing out in the field with a sneer on their face could be sought out as well. So when God comes to you and says, come to the party, don't leave the story unfinished. Finish telling it with your life as you come home to celebrate your little brother, your little sister, the one who has wandered and been welcomed. And in that, may you find welcome as well. Amen.